Hey guys, today we're going to do some QA. I got a bunch of questions, and anytime I get the same question over and over again, I like to answer them in these QAs. The first question comes from a lot of you guys and gals, and Joey T was one, and Laura was another one, and I'm going to read Laura's because hers was the most recent. Recently found your gear setup video. Okay, and that's where everybody got that same question you're about to have in a second. It says, and I'm wondering, are you able to send me a copy of the setup worksheet? Would definitely come in handy in my studio. If you guys didn't see the video, I do a video that says how do I do a setup, and I have a sheet. And the reason is because I'm pretty methodical with how I like to do repairs, and I want a step process to make sure I don't miss anything. I hate it when a customer gets a guitar back and says, oh, I know it was just a setup, but my pot's scratchy and I should have cleaned that. So I have a check mark, did I clean all the electronics? Did I, it's like almost like a car, car wash thing where it's like, did I do all this stuff? As silly as, did I tighten all the screws on the guitar, right? I have to check that off on my sheets. It's just a worksheet to keep me focused so that when I'm focused on the thing that I'm doing on the guitar, I don't unfocus on the other things like a loose switch or things like that. Also, it lets me put in the measurements and information, and lets me put in my notes. So in case for any reason the person comes to pick up the guitar and I'm not there, the person behind the counter can read what I was doing and what I decided to do to the guitar. I really hate telling people, oh, it's all done, here it is. And also, I use measurements and I write them down, so if a customer comes back with concerns or questions like, hey, it's buzzing or it's doing this thing, I can then measure and look at it and say, okay, well, some stuff has moved since I've done the setup, let's go ahead and fix that. Or, okay, that's where I did set it, so maybe that's not where we should leave it, and let's adjust. So, long answer, I'm sorry about that, but the short answer to this is absolutely. I will put a link down below that will link you to the Know Your Gear Facebook page that will let you have a copy of the sheet. Okay, the next question comes from Mike, and Mike says, I have a question for you. If you have an amp with speakers that came in it, and you crank it all the way to 10, and play for extended periods of time, will it damage the speakers in general? And if so, how far would you recommend limiting the volume knob to? And so that's a great question. I love it when Joe Bonamassa rolls all the knobs to 10. He did it on a video where he took a Marshall DSL 40 combo and rolled it all 10. It sounded fantastic. So here's the answer to your question, Mike. Super easy. Older amps, let's say inexpensive older amps like made by Crate and Fender and Randall and Peavey and those guys back in the day, to save money, sometimes they would put in cheaper speakers on the lower price amps. Those days are pretty much gone. Now everybody will use a low cost speaker to make the amp more affordable if you're not buying some kind of boutique amp. But to be honest with you, the speakers now are rated usually higher than what the amp can put out because they don't want to replace the speaker under the 2-year warranties. So it's very unlikely to blow speakers. You rarely ever see it. In fact, almost next to never. So I don't really think you should worry about that. The great thing about that though is you can tell when a speaker is going to blow. It sounds horrible. So if it sounds horrible, stop playing it. If you're cranking it and it sounds fine, just go with it. There's, right, that's what an amp is. You turn it to 10 and you go. Now, if you're gonna run your amp at 10, eventually you'll always have problems with a solid state or tube. It's like flooring your car every day to go to work. Eventually the engine will get more work on it and it will, wear down faster. But ultimately, I wouldn't worry about it. Do what you do. Like I said, if it's not sounding like it's just about to blow up, you're probably fine. Now the next question comes from Vincent. Vincent says, hey man, can you recommend a replacement intonatable bridge for a Paul Reed Smith PRS SE245? I can't get the one size fits all gauges bridge to intonate right. Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. So what he's talking about is he has a guitar with this exact bridge. See how it doesn't have any adjustments on it other than these two Allen wrench screws right there that allow you to adjust the bridge back and forth and maybe even cock it at an angle, but mostly just back and forth. So what he's saying is he's down tuning or he's doing something, changing gauge of strings. These are inherently notorious when you're using a wound third on the G string to not be correctly intonated anymore. So he wants to go to a more adjustable style bridge. So the question is, as I drop my sheet, sorry about that, Vincent. And so he even sent a video with this, so I actually watched the video. So Vincent, here's the answer to the question. Tone Pros makes the bridge, and I know you mentioned that in the video that you saw that, but you saw on forums where some people said it didn't fit the SE245. They make 2 Tone Pros bridges for the Paul Reed Smith guitars aftermarket. And one is the one you need, which is just the normal Tone Pros bridge with the finite saddles, that's the saddles that let you fine intonate the guitar. And it will come in nickel and or chrome, nickel being a little bit more. You can find on Musician's Friend or whatever website you feel comfortable with buying from. And then they make one that says for the Santana. Now what they're talking about is this. The one for every other guitar has a 10-inch radius. In other words, it's radius to the neck on all the Paul Reed Smiths. The Santana is 11.5-inch radius, a little flatter. Other than that, that is the bridge you need. I promise 100%. If you get it and it's wrong, you email me and let me know. We'll talk about it then, but I promise it's right. The other part of his question was also, can you recommend a tuning keys that I won't have to drill holes in to put in for the SE? Yes, so you guys know there are now locking keys made for the SE's aftermarket. Paul Reed Smith, I think, has got a set, but either way, if you Google it, I'll try to put it in the link down below, but there is now an aftermarket set of locking keys. My buddy Nathan sometimes watches. Nathan, put it in the description below where they get those cool locking keys for SEs. He's the one that showed it to me last time. So that'll help you out as well, Vincent. So next we have Andy. Andy says, what do you think of buying used guitar amps and pedals? Question mark. And he basically wants a background. So here's his background. He's an intermediate acoustic guitar player and he's looking to get into electric and he feels like there's a world of information that he's missing. Well, Andy, here's the great thing. Electric guitars are not different than acoustic guitars when you buy them. So you would use all the same skill sets that have gotten you this far with acoustic for electric. Buy from reputable sources like your local store or a chain of stores that you trust. An online site like Reverb or eBay where there's a third party to make everybody accountable. I much prefer Reverb over eBay, not only because I like them better as a selling entity, but I feel like they're in everybody's Kool-Aid more. In other words, they get more involved and take less of the stance of the eBay of you guys figure it out. And and if you buy from Craigslist or one-on-one personal from people, right? Just remember, I don't have a problem with that. I do that all the time too. Just remember that if there's no accountability and there's no place to bring it back to if there's a problem, then you should be paying less. There's no reason a dude on Craigslist should get as much as a reputable website or a retailer that is giving you accountability. So think of it that way. When it comes to pedals and amps, same thing, right? You know, if you can put your hands on it, that's the best. Give it a try, check it out. If you're new to electric guitar from acoustic, one of the things that happens is you need to experience a lot of electric guitars. Don't worry about pedals at first. If you're new to this, just get the amp. The best way to get into it is just get some kind of modeling amp. Think about this, the modeling amp has everything, right? It's like going to a restaurant for the first time and buying their sampler platter, a bite of everything. And although you may not feel like, you know, everything fit your needs, so you'll know next time what to get. So sometimes those modeling amps really do give you the best bang for the best bang for the buck. And to be honest, on top of it, which is also cool, they have not that great resale value. So they're sometimes the easiest things to pick up used, dirt cheap. So check into those sources. I hope that helps, and we'll do more used videos if that helps you too. Thanks, Andy. Next, Ethan. Ethan said, what do you think of Bugera amps? I'm thinking about getting the Infinium V55. Well, Ethan, here's my thought process on Bugera amps. The Bugera amps I'm sure they're great. I've never owned one, and here's why. I have a bunch of friends that love them and swear by them and think they're great. They all admittedly tell me though that they eventually break or have issues. In fact, I hear that a lot, which is kind of what's persuaded me from not dealing with them so much. However, my only thing on that amp, let's talk about that amp. Infinium V55 is a 60s, kind of vibing Fender clean style amp for $500. So my question is, if you don't need the power, keep in mind that the Blues Junior by Fender with a much better warranty and track record is also $500. Also keep in mind that the Hot Rod Deluxe and a lot of the Fender amps that are in that market used will hit that price or below that price, and again, have a much better track record with a much bigger company behind them, okay, taking care of that. Also, don't forget that you can buy an American-made used PV Classic 30 And it is also a very great amp and very underrated, hitting in the $300 range used. It's hard to beat, especially the old American one. The new Chinese ones are pretty good too as well, but again, you know, used on PV's just resale value is horrible, which is great for somebody looking for a deal, because it's horrible because the market has decided PV is just not as valuable as it used to be. However, the product back in the day was very good. Now, if it's the sound of the V55 that you like, well, then you have to buy it. You have to buy the amp that you like, because it's just like anything else. If you like it, you like it. However, if you're just looking for a good tube amp, I would try those options as well before I go just that route. So, all right, guys, as always, I want to thank you for sending me these questions. It's really cool. And thank you guys for checking out the videos. And as always, thank you for your time and know your gear.